have so many people that I care about that live in New York City. I have to tell you guys this vision because knowing that some of the visions that I'm shown come true, I have to tell you guys this. It started with a coworker that I had in New York City when I was living in New York and working there. I saw this coworker's face in front of me, and he was a friend, coworker. And he nodded to me to go up, and so I went up into the sky above the city, and it seemed like I was above Midtown, maybe. And we were looking at this something falling from the sky, and I couldn't tell what it was at first, but then I kept looking, and finally I could see this like cylinder. It looked like a silver cylinder, and it was about 1 foot long, and it was about 6 inches in diameter. And then I noticed that my coworker wasn't moving, and his head was kind of hanging to the side. And I looked closer to see what was wrong with him, and his skin was melting off. And then I got really upset, and I started thinking that the vision was a deception or something, even though I've never had, at least as far as I know, I've never had a deception vision. But I just got really upset and thought, well, maybe it is a deception. So I went looking for Jesus, because Jesus wasn't there yet. And so I went up into the sky looking for Jesus. But then I saw Jesus down by the Statue of Liberty, and he was down in the water. He was in the water in the south of the island of Manhattan, and his arm was up, and I knew that meant that he was the Statue of Liberty. So I went down there, and I went up to him, and he looked so sick and pale and thin, and he looked like he had boils on his skin and a miserable look on his face. And I saw these spouts of water coming toward him that seemed like hoses being sprayed from different directions onto him. And then he collapsed in sorrow and was sobbing, uncontrollably sobbing, and I've never seen him do that. There was only one vision last year in 2011 where he was crying next to a Christmas tree, and then later on Christmas Eve last year, there was that Christmas fire in Connecticut. Well, that's the only time I know of I've ever seen him cry. But in this vision I saw last night, he was not just crying, he was out of control sobbing. Like I've never seen anybody do that. And then before that, there was this flash in my mind of a woman screaming. And just the feeling, I mean, I could just feel the horror of it somehow, and I don't know how to explain that. It was just really bad. And then this man, he was shaped like a man, came toward us where Jesus and I were at. And he was huge, and he looked like a white balloon man with no face. Except that, so he was hollow, he was like a balloon man, what I sensed from him was that he was extremely strong, like iron, even though he was hollow, and he was just a balloon, but he seemed strong like iron. and he reached down and he grabbed Jesus and tried to pull Jesus up on his feet, like, get up, just this fierce, like, get up, stand up kind of thing. And Jesus just looked at him with this disgust on his face, like, what is wrong with you? And it was just bad. And I just hope that the reason that I'm freaking out is because some of you guys know there's this pattern that's been developing from the visions that he showed me last year, where last fall he showed me stomping and clapping that was fulfilled on September 17th, 2011, with Occupy Wall Street starting. And then exactly 1 year later was the Feast of Trumpets in 2012, September 17th, 2012. So it's the Occupy was the first fulfillment, and then exactly a year later was the Feast of Trumpets, that was fulfilled to a greater degree, because it was actually a fulfillment of Daniel 9:27. And then he showed me the power outage and a hurricane shape. And then 2 weeks later was the Connecticut early snow and power outage, October 29th, 2011. And then exactly 1 year later was Hurricane Sandy in New York City, October 29th, 2012. So it was a power outage again, but to a greater degree. And then the third one that he showed me that was fulfilled last fall was the Christmas fire in Connecticut on Christmas Eve. And he was crying next to a Christmas tree. And then he showed me that. I can't remember the exact date, but it was before Christmas last year. And then on Christmas Eve, a whole family died in a fire in Connecticut. And so if the pattern holds, then something would happen. If the pattern holds, then something would happen exactly 1 year later, which would be Christmas Eve 2012. And since both of those other two fulfillments were New York, meaning Occupy Wall Street started in New York, that was the first thing he showed me. And the second thing was the power outage in Connecticut, and then a year later it was the power outage in New York. And the third thing was the Christmas fire in Connecticut, and a year later. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope that I'm wrong, you guys, because when I'm trying to decipher the stuff that he shows me, I've been wrong before, trying to decipher what he's talking about. I have. So, I hope that I'm wrong again. I'm just saying that I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that this vision is totally wrong and that it never happens. And I hope that I'm wrong I hope that this pattern doesn't hold. I hope that it's just a warning and it doesn't hold and nothing happens on Christmas. I don't want anything to happen on Christmas. I really, really hope I'm wrong. I'm just saying, if you have the opportunity to get out of New York City at Christmas and New Year's, I'm just saying, I'm telling you this vision so that if you have the opportunity to get out of there, you will. That's all. I just need to tell you guys, I really hope that it's wrong. I hope that it's just totally inaccurate and that nothing will happen. But knowing that some of my visions have already come true, I felt like I had to tell you guys this. And I'm upset. I wish that I had not seen that.